Hi, this is Jeff Curto, and welcome to episode number 196 of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography. Creative side, my eye. Man, oh man, have I been busy. Too busy, in fact, to be all that creative of late. In the last month, I've packed up my house in my longtime home of the Chicago suburbs, and I've moved to southern Wisconsin. It's really terrific here. I'm very excited to be in this new place, but we all know how chaotic and disorienting the process of moving can be. And in the middle of that move, I was excited and thrilled to be invited to participate in an exhibition called Wanderlust at the gallery of Antelope Valley College in Lancaster, California. So I guess the timing was pretty good. I had to pack stuff up anyway, so I prepared and packed up and shipped in 12 matted and framed images off to that show. And I'll put some links in the podcast page at cameraposition.com and in the PDF that comes along with the app for the show. If you have a chance and you're out in that Southern California section of the world, I'd love to have you go take a look. And to add to all of that, I've got a son graduating from college here in a few days in Vermont. Hey there, Luca, I'm proud of you. And in a few days that I'll head out there, and on the way to that event, I'll be speaking at the Stony Brook Camera Club in suburban Boston on Thursday, May 11th. If you happen to catch this podcast before that evening, come and join us. I'm told there's plenty of room. And again, I'll put a link to this camera club. And I realize that I'm publishing this just the day before of that event. But if you happen to catch this and you're in the car and you're near suburban Boston, come and take a look. And then, on the heels of returning from my son's Champlain College graduation in northern Vermont, my wife Mary Pat and I will take off for a month in Italy, leading some great groups of students in 4 week-long workshops, 2 in a row in Sicily, 1 in Umbria, and then another in northern Tuscany. So I'm really excited about those workshops, and it's always a lot of fun to work with students in Italy and immerse them in photography and in the Italian culture over the course of a week together. In fact, a few people will be with me for 2 or even 3 weeks at a time. So that's terrific. That kind of cultural and photographic immersion is just wonderful. So, and all of that, man, all of that stuff, moving to a place I've only been to a few times before, shipping work off to a West Coast destination, visiting a couple of different places in the eastern United States, preparing to take some great people to some amazing Italian destinations, all of that stuff has me thinking a lot about travel, about location, and about place, and about how we approach the idea of photography of the destinations in our lives. On the surface, travel photography can't be all that hard, right? You go someplace that's new to you, that isn't your home, you stand in front of something you can't see where you normally live, and you take a picture, or 20 or 200. But that simply defines the mechanical part of making photographs when you travel. And I suppose it also defines the mechanical aspect of travel in a more general way. Get on a plane or in a car or on a train and go someplace else and simply be in that space. But as a lifelong traveler, I really think that how travel impacts you is all about how you approach it. If you really engage the places you travel to, the experience of being in that place can transform you. Travel, in fact, can be transformative. It can change you. Due to the ubiquity of photography in our world today, we've all seen photographs made by people who have been on a vacation somewhere. Pictures that bring home a record of what the place looked like, what they saw when they were there. And those photographs, I think, merely convey, at least a lot of the time, the appearance of a place. And on my workshops and in my University of Georgia study abroad courses in Cortona, Tuscany, something I'll be doing again this fall, very excited about that, I try to help students toward a deeper understanding of where they have traveled to and guide them toward conveying a sense of place, a sense of place. The objective is not just to show what your destination looks like, but rather to convey in photographs what it felt like to be there. Creating photographs that capture a sense of place usually involves expressing symbolic ideas central to the meaning of the place instead of just descriptively recording its appearance. It's really interesting to me because I find that many of my students spend so much time indoors or in out of door places near where they live, places that are known to them, that they've lost their personal sense of how to discover, interpret, and understand a new place. Even more, because when we travel, we have a certain adrenaline rush, an excitement about what's new and different and enthralling to us. And because of that, we tend to speed up rather than to slow down and make sense of what we're seeing and how it's making us feel. So that's one of the things that I work with students on trying to do. And it's certainly one of the things I work with myself on trying to do too. It's not just good for the goose, it's good for the gander as well, right? So one of the things that I encourage students to do is do some research. And try to do that research ahead of the time that they're traveling to a new location. Use that big information blowtorch of the internet or another information blowtorch that we sometimes overlook, a local library. Learn as much about the place you're traveling to as you can, about its history, its customs, its cultures, its food, its dress. Then when you get to that new place, make a verbal list of what you see. This list should take the form of nouns and adjectives. So rather than just describing a courtyard that has chairs, write down something that goes like this. A courtyard about 10 by 20 meters in size with 12 yellow metal chairs surrounding 4 green wooden tables. That kind of specificity is important. By writing that down, or I suppose making the list in your head, though I think writing it down is important, you begin to verbally do what you're already doing visually. An important distinction is that you're slowing down enough to really understand what's in front of you, noting significant details, creating verbal and eventually visual groupings of things and people and color and textures and so on. And it's by paying attention to those kinds of details, making note of how they affect you, and then beginning to photograph what you see and how those things make you feel, they begin to get at conveying a sense of place. So, whether you have plans to travel to a distant location this summer, or whether you stay close to home and find yourself in a familiar park, or forest preserve, or public piazza, or even in your living room, think about your place and your place in that place. And I think you'll begin to get a better understanding of how to photograph a sense of place. Thanks for joining me. I'm off to complete the big giant list of things that I elaborated on earlier. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography.